I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the fairest of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
This Snow White version is woke and feminist and progressive.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
Rachel Zegler, she's an...
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Leave it the f alone.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Of course, like with everything on the left these days, they just take it too far. It just doesn't make any sense.
It makes a little bit more sense.
You can gaslight people so easily.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It'd be outrage.
So the two stars hate each other.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
This was a masterclass in alienating fans and empty theaters, not just a failure. Together with Disney's extravagant alterations, Rachel Zegler, the conceited actress whose mouth was larger than her talent, made sure this remake was a complete failure.
Snow White gets her name, not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know. She gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
Magic gave way to despair in his fairy tale.
If you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
Disney capitalized on nostalgia and Ziegler's alleged star power to make $150 million on the first weekend of release. What were they given? $43 million in the United States? That is a complete disaster. There were no cues, no buzz, no fans, and the theaters were silent. Why? People were fleeing from Ziegler's impolite behavior, as if she were above it. She had spent years disparaging the 1937 classic in interviews from 2022, calling it strange and out of date. Then came her tirade about Trump in 2024.
Whoever trusted a first reaction by anybody in the media, please go look at the list of names of people who hyped this up as a good movie and make sure you never take their opinions seriously ever again.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension. Racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
Megyn Kelly retaliated against this brat, and X was inundated with cries for a boycott. She became a walking red flag because of her entitled attitude. One admirer tweeted, "I'm skipping it because of her. I can't tolerate her." Disney believed that her woke edge would be popular. Not at all. Millions were lost.
Came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
And then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far. But it wasn't.
With a woke agenda that no one requested, Disney did more than just change Snow White. They destroyed it. The 1937 animated film tells the charming story of 7 eccentric dwarfs, a charming prince, and a good-hearted princess. The original is hardly recognizable in the 2025 version, which is a sanctimonious jumble. In 2022, Zegler boasted about it. She is battling her own challenges. She grinned as though she had restored a damaged artifact. Once the hero, the prince was reduced to a spooky nobody who was hardly visible on television.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Oh my God.
Charming in the traditional fairy tale and in the 1937 movie has been replaced by a common criminal.
The evil queen reduced her jealousy of Snow White's beauty to a nebulous power struggle. Disney executives removed the romance and charm that made the classic timeless in favor of current principles. The new tunes are a complete mess.
Deleted "Someday My Prince Will Come" and made a modernized feminist alternative.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true.
The 1937 movie provided us with the remake music is a disorganized chaos that doesn't even match the timeless anthems Someday My Prince Will Come and Hi-Ho.
Got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
These songs are nonsensical, even if Zegler had pipes and belted in West Side Story. Mirror's Lie is another song that features a long, melancholy Queen tirade. It cannot be saved by Godot's voice. YouTube users tore it up. What is this shit? Snow White is a musical, not a lecture hall, according to one of the top comments. In 2023, Zegler marketed them as trendy and not cheesy. She acted as though the old tunes were beneath her, displaying her woke entitlement. Critics concurred that the plot was excessively forced and heavy. These flops have no one humming.
No life lesson to be had here, and instead it gets replaced with something far more sinister. They make a revisionist Marxist call to arms, where it is Disney's closest film to paraphrasing the Communist Manifesto, and it does.
Snow White is the fairest of them all because she has these communist sensibilities to share all resources with the farmers that till the land, and she got those sensibilities from her mother and her father.
This thing's tone, far too progressive. Men suffered greatly. The prince was relegated to a background creep. Zegler dubbed him a stalker in 2022, and Disney followed suit with a feminist sledgehammer that destroyed the magic. The dwarves? Now they are the laborers, toiling hard, as Snow White gives them inner strength lessons.
You wash the dishes. You tidy up the room. You clean those cobwebs. And he'll use the broom. Whistle while you work. And cheerfully together we can tidy up the place.
In the original Snow White, she cleans the cottage after woodland animals take her there. When she learns the 7 dwarves live there, she offers to cook and clean the place for them as a sign of her gratitude. But in this one, she breaks in and then forces the dwarves to clean for her. So clearly the Barbie screenwriter they hired to write this film thinks that this is a clever kind of role reversal. Funny that making a feminist version of a character always means, in practice, just turning her into an unpleasant, unlikable nag.
The modern empowered Snow White won't even allow domestic labor carried out by herself. Instead, she orders the dwarves to tidy up themselves, even when they've had a hard day down the mine.
It's their house.
But it's so obvious now because of the blight of intersectionality that's spread throughout our entire society that we can't have a woman holding a broom. Not that Rachel Zegler would know what to do with a broom other than fly it.
The entire movie shouts that guys are awful. Zegler shoved it, gushing during interviews. This has nothing to do with a male helping her. The old story, in her opinion, was garbage because it dared to include a hero. It was disliked by fans. Where is the heart and the teamwork? Too much girl boss? Insufficient fairy tale?
Should have just dropped it like every other steaming pile of dog shit they put on Disney+.
They screwed the dwarfs. The charm comes not once, twice, but 3 times. Disney initially intended to use real, small-scale actors for the original. Then, in 2022, Peter Dinklage spoke up.
They couldn't put dwarfs finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarves want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
No, there's 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here, but because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why
now,
would they
too?
get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it.
7 dwarfs of Snow White, who of course all just disappeared, and now they're the 7 dysfunctional men.
I mean, I guess, what are we going to have? Like a lesbian, a trans person, someone in a wheelchair, someone of color? Like, I don't understand. Why weren't the dwarfs enough? But apparently they were too offensive because the most famous dwarf of all, Peter Dinklage, said something negative about it back in 2022, thus ruining the biggest acting roles the dwarfs had ever seen since the creation of Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompas back in the 1970s.
Argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change the character.
Didn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
you have
took
a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
DEI dwarves.
Yep. Well, they had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves. There
So
you go.
those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
That's Sleepy, that's Drunky, that's Cokehead.
Well, what?
You're joking.
They look like Santa's helpers.
And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves.
Disney switched to computer-generated imagery for mystical creatures, such as strange light objects that resembled cheap avatars. Leaks then revealed that these animals were performing Snow White's household duties, including cooking, cleaning, and other tasks, while she sat about. This was strike two. Disney changed them once again by 2024 reshoots, making them varied bandits who continue to perform the grunt work. Snow White is no longer the diligent protagonist of the story, but rather a domineering figurehead, the last of the dwarves. A CGI disaster that left everyone perplexed and nobody happy.
Rachel's not a good actress, never should have been cast for this role. You could just look at her, you say, that's not Snow White. I mean, come on.
Just in, an enormous cultural failure, Disney's Snow White, which cost $250 million, raked in a miserable $43 million during its premiere, and that's from the AP. Imagine if you guys just made entertainment's sake for the sake of entertainment.
The movie's reception was heavily impacted by divisive themes and disappointing box office numbers. The changes in criticism around these elements seem to have led to its rough ride. At the theaters, reimagining beloved classics can be risky, and this adaptation appears to have missed the mark for many viewers. It raises questions about Disney's approach to future adaptations and whether they'll adjust their strategy in response to this experience. The mixed reactions and financial underperformance highlight the challenges of updating nostalgic stories. For modern audiences, it remains to be seen how Disney will navigate these issues moving forward and whether they'll reconsider their direction for upcoming projects. Leave me a comment, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video.